Okay, back again. I had to delete some stuff that I didn't want to delete, but you know what comes first. So, Shalom. I'm saying all of this just to say, just this is not for everybody. This is for people who actually read and you want to develop skillful reading. Because after a while, after reading it for so many years, you start to get a feel for what you're reading, and it's true. It's been kind of tampered with, but he said he's going to leave us a light. He's going to leave us a light throughout the centuries, throughout the millenniums. So that we never get lost. So this is our light right here. You know. So these words are our light that we look towards and for understanding in these times. It says wisdom and knowledge is going to be the stability of your times. It's a reason why we can be so stable in these troublous times, in these times where some people just might not really understand, or like they don't know what's going on. So really, what I want you to be able to do is, when you read Revelations, which I'm not going to have time to get into due to, lack of memory space, but when you get to Revelations, you need to be able to use these skills to actually read, and understand how he's trying to give you the information. This is not no cracking the Da Vinci Code. It's just basically, just understanding the translation and just the language that we got to deal with. That's also part of one of the, I don't want to say curses, but one of the punishments he put on the people after Adam and after Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We can't really, we can't. I have yet to see a book translated into the Lashawan Quadash. So therefore we're dealing with this English translation, and I tell you the truth, I can't fluently read Yiddish. So I'm gonna continue on. So in the scripture, you find that we use a lot of the words today that's been used, a lot of the phrases that's been used over the years, the common phrases. For example, in this passage, the phrase is going to be wild ass. We use the term all the time, wild ass. I'm just going to continue reading. So, verse 1, verse 2, it says, "Some remove landmarks, they violently take away flocks and feed thereof." It's obviously talking about, it's not obviously, but it's talking about the wicked still. "They drive away the ass of the fatherless. They take the widow's ox for a pledge. They turn the needy out of the way. The poor of the earth hide themselves together. Behold, as wild asses in the desert." Verse 4, that was talking about the wicked. Or, no, verse 1 through 4, I want to say. "Behold, as wild asses in the desert," is obviously not talking about the wicked, "go they forth to their work. Rising betimes for a prey. The wilderness yields food for them and for their children." It's talking about the poor in this verse. And it's going to continue. It's going to use that word "they" again. "They reap every one his corn in the field, and they gather the vintage of the wicked." Look at that word "they." It's not obviously not talking about the wicked in this verse. You can't really see it. You just got to read along. Again, this is for those who read anyways. It's not. It's talking about the. It's talking about the poor. It's talking about the proverbial, the wild ass. Again, but now in verse 7, you're gonna see the word "they" again. This time it's not talking about the wild ass. He's flip-flopping. Just, I don't know if it's the way that the Father gave it to us, or it's just the way that it's been translated, or it's just the way, that has been tampered with. But it's flip-flopping again. Now that word "they cause the naked to lodge without clothing, that they have no covering in the cold." That's that wicked "they." And it's going to continue. "They are wet with the showers of the mountains. They embrace the rock for want of a shelter. Verse 8, that's talking about the wild ass again. Now, you see how he flip-flop back and forth? You should be able to tell it by now. I'm going to read it again. They are wet with the showers of the mountains. They embrace the rock for want of a shelter. It's talking about pretty much not just the wild ass, but in chapter 39, it tells you about everything it's talking about. And throughout the rest of the book, you can't just use that chapter. But okay, verse 9. They pluck the fatherless from the breast and take a pledge of the poor. There you go. He flip-flopped again back. He's talking about the wicked now. They pluck the fatherless from the breast and they take a pledge of the poor. They cause him to go naked without clothing, and they take away the sheep from the hungry. Obviously, you see who he's still talking about. But I'm not going to, like, again, got 3 minutes left, not even. I'm not going to go through the whole chapter for you, but that's pretty much how this chapter is. I just chose this chapter because I was just led there today, but that's how this chapter is written. And if you go on to Revelations, it's a lot of times, and like the book of Daniel, it's a lot of times where he goes back and forth between those instances. He might be talking about one thing, or even in Matthew, he talk about one event, then he might talk about an event 1,000 years later. Then he'll go back to what's happening, let's say in Matthew in 70 AD. Then he'll fast forward to 1,000 years later. Then he'll do the same thing again. Same thing in the Revelations. I hope that you understand the point I'm trying to get to you. I pray that you do. Again, I'm just doing this just to help people who thirst and hunger after this righteousness and after this understanding. I'm trying to, help. And I'm not even here talking as if I wrote the book, the good book, but I just hope that you can get this understanding. So let me pinpoint these wicked in this chapter anyways. So these people that do these things, that do these things proudly, and they make it a point to do these things on purpose. Jeremiah actually talks about them, and how, the wild ass and, these other nations, everybody's going to start recognizing who exactly it is, and everybody's going to start aiming at them, pretty much, He says in one book, I made you small amongst these groups of people. Well, I got to go. I pray I get more space, but I just wanted to get that off. Shalom.